Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 628. My opponent started off with d4 here. I went d5. And now he goes knight f3. You can see that's the second choice here. This can be used as a transposition trick to avoid certain lines in the queen's gambit decline. So you're going to play c4 to later move. Or as in this case, it can be used to introduce different kinds of systems. The call system, the London system, or the Tory attack. Anyway, in this case, my opponent is going for the immediate bishop f4, so we've got the London system. And I counterattack with c5. He defends with e3. And this is the system I've been playing against the London system. I get an early c5 in, I get my knight to c6, and then later I'll play b6 and bishop b7, and push this pawn up and bishop to d6 to challenge the bishop that's outside the pawn chain. And I've had good luck with this, so I think I can recommend this system. It's not like it is a refutation of the London system, but it gets you to a playable position where black should be pretty comfortable. Okay, so I go knight c6 here. He goes c3, so this is completing the solid triangle of the London setup. And now I go e6. The point of e6 right here, you see, that's the top choice here. Is that now white's really threatening to take this pawn. I can't check the king and pick it back up, which I could have in the earlier position. So I play e6 right here. And then he went bishop d3. And I could go bishop d6 immediately. That's the second choice here. I went with b6. Maybe bishop d6 is a little more accurate, but the way I played it with b6 first seems to be okay as well. It doesn't seem to be. I mean, I looked at it with the chess engine, and there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with it technically. This queen b6 move is interesting, but it's not the kind of setup that I'm going for. I'm keeping the queen here to support bishop to d6, so that's my plan. So I'm not tempted by this queen b6 move, although it might be good if you wanted to try it out. So anyway, we're out of the opening book after I played b6. He castles. And I go bishop b7, completing my development over here. He goes knight bd2. It's all pretty normal development. And now bishop d6. And so this really finishes the whole setup that I was talking about. And yeah, I've had good luck with it. So it seems like black is pretty solid here. Black has a little more center influence. White still has ideas of pushing the e-pawn forward, a common theme in the call system and the London system, to try and open things up and maybe get some kingside attack going. So in this position, he retreated his bishop to g3, which is not the best move for white. This move here is the top choice of the chess engine, and one that is often played. And white, according to the chess engine, white is slightly better in this position. But like I said, I've played this a number of times, and I feel comfortable playing this, and it's not a huge edge to white, no more than a typical opening advantage. So I think this is fine. Let's see. Other things he could try here. He could actually just leave the bishop there, play rook to e1, and then go for the position with the doubled pawns here, which give him a strong grip on the e5 square. So this has pros and cons. But it seems like this is a playable line for white, although the chess engine thinks black is equal here. I'm actually not sure I would even take the bishop. I might delay for a few moves trying to decide whether that's good or bad. That center influence with that f-pawn is kind of annoying, unless I have a plan to deal with it. Anyway, he plays bishop to g3, and this makes my decision easier because I take here, and opening up the h-file doesn't really introduce any attacking ideas because his king is in the way of his rook and the pawns are in the way of the king. So it'll be a while before he untangles and gets anything going on the h-file. He could try taking with the f-pawn, but then that leaves him with this weak e-pawn here, and that also has issues. So I think either way, black is a little better by now. So I just castle here, plays rook e1, I go rook e8. I'm going to push my e-pawn forward if I get the chance. And I was expecting him to push his e-pawn forward, but instead he went with this other maneuver, bishop to b5, which I think is pretty interesting. If you look at this position, you might think, well, I've got a bad bishop, and white has a good bishop because his bishop has open lines and with this dark squared pawn chain, and my bishop is closed in behind this pawn. But I have two ideas here that help me liberate this bishop. One is to push this pawn forward and move the bishop onto this diagonal and just trade it off that way. And the other idea is to push my pawns forward and open up the center. And also, if white wants to do the same thing, if white wants to get an attack going by pushing e4 here, or maybe c4 to undermine my center, that also will help to liberate my bishop. So, so the difference in the bishops is not all that great. And so it's interesting that he decides to trade off his bishop. He goes bishop b5, I kick it, he takes, I take. And now it's not so easy for me to liberate this bishop. So maybe he's trying to saddle me with a bad piece here. This is still about equal though, so okay, an okay position. Let's see, he goes knight e5. I drop the bishop back. I'm not willing to trade it off just yet. And then he goes knight d to f3. And knight d to f3 is actually a little bit of a mistake because it allows my knight to hop into e4. And the chess engine thinks, starting around there, that black is just better. What the chess engine likes here is a very interesting plan, so I thought I'd show it to you. g4, pushing on with this doubled pawn here, maybe trying to get rid of that pawn weakness, but also maybe getting an attack going against the king here. My pieces are over on the queen side here a bit. So h6 to hold it off, and then f4. Yep, so just getting some kind of kingside pawn storm going. Rook to c8 to activate my rook, and rook to f1, bringing it over here and lining it up on the f file, maybe preparing to push on with f5. So pretty interesting plan from the chess engine. And again, this is all about equal, so nothing. It's not an attack that should be too scary, but well, it's some activity for white, something that black should pay attention to. And I still have the idea of hopping my knight in here. If he trades it off, I take back with a pawn, and it gives a little more scope to my bishop. Okay, he went knight d to f3, and I just hopped my knight in here immediately because now it can't even be traded off. He goes back to d2, and then I play f6 to attack his knight. So the chess engine wants to just take here, start taking stuff off. So it might go like this: knight takes e4, I take his e5 knight, and then this knight is under attack, has to drop back. And I could take on d4, he could take, and I could play e4. And this is interesting. I have the idea here of pushing the e-pawn forward. I mean, at first it looks like this is horrible because these pawns block in my bishop, but I have the idea of pushing this pawn forward and disrupting the center some more. So once again, an interesting position with play for both sides. Let's see, he went back to d3 immediately, and now the chess engine likes black a lot, although I have to play c4 here, which I did not play. But the engine wants the line to go like this: knight takes, pawn takes. Now this, cancel that. I take this knight. Yeah, this is a funny line. His other knight drops back to d2, and then e5. And after some exchanges, I mean, it looks like I'm just going to lose this pawn here, so you might wonder about this line. You'd have to be pretty confident of your calculations to play like this. But after d takes, f takes, e4, d takes e4, it looks like I managed to hold on to to my pawns here. Well, he can grab this one, I guess, but I'm holding on to this one for the moment, and it starts to look maybe like a dangerous passer. So interesting stuff. Anyway, I played rook c8, a more natural, just developing move. He takes off the knight on e4, take back, and now he just I think his idea was that he wanted to get rid of this knight and take over here. If he could do this in the right order, you know, take here, and I take back, and then trade the knight, and then take the pawn. You know, it still doesn't work because my rook is defending the c-pawn. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not sure what he was thinking. But anyway, he took off this knight, and then he grabbed the pawn here, and that just gives up a piece. So at this point, I'm just a piece up, and I should go on to win the game pretty easily. The funny thing is, I just make a series of mistakes from here on out, and my position just goes downhill. Well, where towards the end, I'm still winning, but I only have a very slight edge. It's not like a huge advantage, and black has definite drawing chances. So So let's look at my mistakes one by one. Here's the first one. He takes here, and I took back with the queen, giving up on this pawn here. I don't know if I was even thinking when I played that move or if that was just a reflex action. But, you know, this is one of the trump cards in my position, this advanced pawn. And there's no reason I should give that up without a fight. I even have a bishop of the right color to defend it. So this is my first mistake. I just give up that advanced pawn. And the other point is there's no hurry to take this pawn on b6. It's not going anywhere. It's blockaded by the bishop, and I can pretty much round it up at any time. So double mistake here. Grabbing that pawn that I didn't have to take and giving up a very good pawn of mine. So already my advantage has diminished somewhat. He's got now 2 pawns for the bishop. Or knight, yeah. And let's see, he went, I went rook c to d8, attacking his queen. Queen went to c2, go f5. I did have an idea here, which was to line up on this diagonal and push these pawns forward to get control of the light squares and threaten mate on that diagonal, which is not bad. So these moves are okay. c4. He's preparing, though, to shut down that diagonal, so I have to be a bit quick here. But I get in g4, plays rook a to d1, and I line my queen up to c6. So this part was okay, and I've got a plan, and I'm executing it. And now he plays e4, and this kind of messes up my plans a little bit. But my reaction here is a big mistake. So the first thing to recognize is that that pawn is pinned because of the mate threat. So he is not threatening to take on f5. My pawn is perfectly safe. And the chess engine just wants me to push on with e5. Not a move I thought of. So I push on with e5, and he still can't take. And it's difficult for him to improve his position. If he plays f3, I'm going to take, and then I might be making progress on the diagonal. So a4 is kind of a do-nothing move, just wait and see. And then queen to f6. And what's funny is that this pawn is still pinned. Let's see, the engine is giving c5, and bishop takes e4 is the way to play it. So I've picked up that pawn in a convenient way. And right here, if he grabs, this is the other point, is that then the queen can just go right back to f6. And I've got this pressure on the diagonal. And once again, if he plays f3 to protect on g2 with the queen, then I can take that and win a pawn here on f3, and that'll also be very dangerous. So so that's the way to play that. I could just ignore this threat to take there because it's not actually a threat, and just push on with e4. Instead, I took his pawn, and so now my advantage is decreasing still further. And let's see, he played queen to c1, and that's looking at coming over here with a check. And I should play e3 here to try and shut that down. That's the chess engine suggestion, and that's the way. What happens and what goes wrong is that I allow my opponent to get all this counterplay. I exchanged here. He could throw in the check, and in fact, this is already a draw. If he just goes queen g5 check right here, I can't escape. I can't escape the checks. So so he already has a draw right here. So I slipped up, but he took back. Anyway, so let's back up. So this is a key moment here after in this position after queen to c1. I need to play e3 there, and that blocks the queen out, and it also threatens along this diagonal once again, and it's very tough for him to meet those threats. Okay, but so I did rook d1, he did queen d1, and then I pushed on with h5 to defend my pawn. That's okay. He lifts his rook to e3. I bring my queen down to c7. I was just trying to liberate my queen. The bishop is now supporting this pawn, but this diagonal is kind of blocked at the moment since I didn't get e3 in at the right moment. He goes queen to d4, and now I go rook e7, and this is kind of the the last mistake. I'm still ahead after this, but he gets lots of play, and he has a fighting chance to draw this game. So my last chance here to keep an easily winning edge is to play e5. That just keeps his queen shut out, so the queen doesn't get to come in here. Let's see, the engine is saying the queen would drop back to c3, and then I can bring my rook over to the d file and try and activate this way. And so I'm just keeping his pieces out, basically trying to eliminate his counterplay and hold on to my edge. Anyway, rook e7, and now he comes in here with queen f6. Very awkward move to meet. I managed to arrange my pieces, but I have to give up another pawn here. I managed to arrange my pieces to avoid further checks. Goes queen e5, I go king h7, and then he ran out of time here while he was looking for a move. Either that or he got disconnected. But just to look at how the game might have continued, the engine is recommending the move rook to e2 here, dropping back, maybe so the rook can get onto an open file. And then my plan, I was going to go queen g6, rook here, queen there. Let's see, rook d2 getting onto that open file. And I really need to start worrying at this point about the threat of the rook coming in. So for example, if I were to continue with my plan, rook f7, say he goes c5, I go queen f5, then he can just trade, and then this rook comes in here with check, and he's picking up the pawn. I mean, he's picking up the bishop, I'm picking up the pawn. This turns out to still be a draw, but well, I wouldn't want to have to play that game. And let's see, so assuming I recognize that threat, the engine is saying a better try is queen to g5 immediately, queen takes, rook takes, and now if the rook comes in, then I can defend with my rook. So rook to d6, and well, the game goes on. There's a slight edge to black still in this position. I have a bishop against a couple of pawns, but you know, white's pieces are active, my pawns are a bit scattered, and his passed pawn is looking like if he can get these rolling, that might be really dangerous. So anyway, I guess I should be glad that he ran out of time here and didn't try to make me prove that I could win that position. Okay, so that's how the game ended. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.